want to talk about the Christmas special of Guardians of the Galaxy?
I feel like people probably liked this thing, and like I love James Gunn very, very much, but I did not like this thing.
Yeah, a lot of people liked it. They're like, "Oh, it's a good time." Yeah,
it's just some fun.
It's just some fun, and I get it. If you had fun with it, that's really cool. I don't want to yuck your yum, but it felt a little like a waste of time. Luckily, it was only 45 minutes. It's beautiful. That's 45 minutes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, there's very little time to actually hate anything you're watching.
Yeah, it's great. And I just don't really care for, especially with how dumb they made Mantis and what's his name, Drax. They're like borderline
mental.
Mental. They're special in this one. I don't know. Yeah. Like, especially like
they spent 7.5 years in a special ed school.
Yeah, they definitely climbed a mountain. But,
they really peaked at the mountain in this thing.
Yeah, it's like Drax should know he shouldn't kidnap people. I don't know.
Yeah, come on.
It's like,
my issue with it was like I popped it on. And I was greeted right away with like a full length comedy song, and I was like, okay, and, it was like 4 minutes. I was like, all right, we've only got a few more minutes left,
yeah.
and then
these musicians like in on the volume,
yeah, like the soundstage floor is like flat as a pancake. You can see like some of the conduit and some of like the cabling for the cameras and stuff all around. Just really
make sure to keep Rocket to a minimum.
Big time. Yeah. I think it was all like repurposed animation from something else. But no, he looked good, but it was clearly they were like, don't put him in very much of this. I did think it was cool to see, for a lot of people, it wasn't obvious that Groot, like baby Groot, was a different Groot than the first. It's not just the old one growing again. It's his son. And so seeing him now, like getting into adulthood and being like all buff and having different kinds of powers and selling that idea better of like, no, it really is like a new Groot that we have here. The first one died. I thought it was kind of neat, but yeah, then they go into like another song and then they go into another song and then like there's like 4 full length songs in this thing. Yeah. So it is just straight up like a musical.
Yeah. Like 3 minutes of story and plot.
Yeah, and like to me, not especially funny. There was some CG in it that could have been very avoided. Like Mantis does some kind of wall jumping or something that I was like, I can't believe they left that in.
Yeah, whatever. It was whatever.
Let me reframe it. If this had aired on ABC Family,
oh yeah,
it would have been a totally different story.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So we've got a Disney Plus problem.
We do have a Disney Plus problem. Apparently, there's a Willow show that nobody has seen.
Yeah, is it any good? I got to be honest. I wasn't like begging for more Willow.
Apparently, I've heard that it has worse ratings than She-Hulk. So
so it's really shitty. Oh wow,
it's really shitty. At least nobody wants to watch it. But nobody really wanted to watch the first like the Willow movie. So
I mean, people are watching that Santa Clauses thing, right? The Tim Allen thing.
Are they?
I think so. I think people are watching. I mean, those Santa Claus movies are pretty popular, but to me, I don't know, like fool me once, shame on you. Can't get fooled again.
Yeah.
It feels like I get it now. Like Disney Plus is a place for shovelware.
That's what it feels like.
There's a lot of Disney Plus trash that goes out. And I think maybe they told James Gunn that, like, do you have any trash that we might be able to? And he was like, I guess I could like film some quick trash while we're filming the real movie.
Yeah, he took like apparently like 3 days to film this, and
it shows.
It out. Yeah, it feels like a movie should done on a weekend.
Like everything about it felt, even though it was only 45 minutes, everything felt stretched out. Definitely felt like Werewolf by Midnight wasn't my favorite thing I've ever seen, but that definitely felt like more of a passion project than this thing.
You know how they would like sometimes on like DVDs they would have like little like skits or like
Jack Black with the Council of Elrond and Fellowship of the Ring or whatever.
Yeah, just like something small that would be on the DVD. It's like you took that like 5-minute sketch that they like filmed for fun and added as a DVD extra, and then stretched it out to 45 minutes.
Yeah, like they just shot it while they had downtime, while they were waiting for the cameras to go up or something. Like Billy Boyd filmed it on his camcorder and they put it on the DVD. Yeah, it felt a bit more like that for sure. Or
so like, this is supposed to be the post the end of Phase 4. This was the prologue. Frankie, give Phase 4, Phase Bore, as I like to call it.
Yes.
Give it a rating. Give it a out of 10.
Oh, well, shit. I mean, remember, I actually like charted
What's
this. So I could actually give you like my accurate average. So you go first, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So I'll give you a real rating.
Oh, I didn't do your numbers.
Yeah, I understand.
But but I'd probably give it a D+.
I gave it a 5.4 out of 10.
5.4. So what was that? Is that an F?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 50. It's a 54.
So maybe if you round up like a nice teacher, maybe a D-.
Yeah, an F+. I give Phase 4 an F+.
Yeah, that seems good. That seems good for it.
But like it might be different if we're just talking about movies.
I think the biggest sin of it is just directionless. It just feels like shit being thrown at the wall.
Yeah.
And the Disney Plusness of it all, where you have all this shovelware, that brings the average way down. And not that the movies were killing it either. The movies this year freaking blew.
Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, Multiverse of Madness, Thor, and Black Panther.
Yeah.
That's not the best showing in the world.
And like I think every single movie that Disney has released this year is like either flopped like Strange Worlds or underperformed. Like Wakanda Forever underperformed.
Yeah.
So what's Disney doing? Obviously they're getting Bob Iger back. I don't think that's going to save it unless they actually do something about it. Just like, I don't feel like there's a reason for a lot of these projects to exist. And if they have something to say, it's almost like they want to tell you how to feel.
Yeah.
Instead of actually just having a good story where you can like figure it out yourself.
Making you feel it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, making you feel it. So it's a lot of telling you how to feel in a lot of these projects.
Yeah. Yep. That's what it feels like. And for a while, I thought that they were using the kind of like corporate strategy of like, hey, we have almost an entertainment monopoly at this point. We've got certain things we want to do culturally. We're going to do them. And like box office be damned. COVID happened anyway. We'll take the hits. But it does seem like they maybe can't take those hits quite so hard.
Yeah. Well,
you can't have flop after flop after flop, can you?
You can't underperform like every single movie and flop many of them. Like I don't even know what was going on with A Strange World. I barely even. I don't watch TV. People said it was advertised on TV. I don't really watch like network TV.
Yeah, I barely even knew it existed.
I didn't know it existed until like people were like, "Oh, it flopped." I'm like, "Oh, that was out."
Like
that was a movie.
This movie, dude. This movie on Box Office Mojo. Anyway, they don't. I heard somewhere that it cost $180 million to make Strange World, and the domestic earning was $26 million.
Wow. They should have just released this on Disney Plus, and the budget should never be $180 million.
Well, this is what, and we wonder why there's shovelware and trash going to Disney Plus. It's like because maybe they're in this mode right now where they're like, well, we got to drive subscribers. That's where most of our revenue comes from anyway. And we ought to keep the risk low whenever we're, it really is just like a simple equation of like, keep the budgets low, use the licenses we own, use the hell out of the licenses we own because it drives traffic.
No.
I'll always wonder though, like some of the creative decisions were just baffling. Like why did they invest all of the kind of like visual creativity into Andor? Andor is a more expensive looking show to me than
Yeah.
Kenobi is.
I finished
Why did that
Andor.
happen?
I finished Andor,
Yeah.
and yeah, it had a better production than Obi-Wan. It had a production design. It looked like they've spent a lot of money. I think the actors, overall are better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought they're, I think Andor, but Andor it has interesting things going on with it, but it suffers so much from the crap that was around it. Like She-Hulk was concurrent with it and right before it. Rings of Power, it's not in Disney's control, but it was you have all these big franchises just putting out these duds that nobody wants to watch, and then all of a sudden and then you start Andor off with those 3 episodes in the beginning, which are so hard to get through. People are just going to watch the first episode and they're like, oh, this is like She-Hulk. This is like Rings of Power. It's going to be a dud and I'm not going to watch this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely how I felt. I was like, I cannot believe I'm doing this. I remember just feeling so lost and so alone, like by the 4th, terrible series that I didn't want to watch. But
I think ultimately Andor had a lot of redeeming qualities. I do think it has huge pacing problems, which I think ultimately bring it down.
And like a main character that doesn't really do anything. I mean, there's all kinds of problems. Like I do think that people are overstating its quality, despite it being quite good. They're overstating it. I think because they know that nobody watched it, so they have to kind of like exaggerate how good this thing was. It's like it's not that, guys. It's really not that great.
Yeah, again, it's the glut of the bad stuff, and then you get this, and it's like, okay, this is watchable. It's got some good things going on. It's got some interesting ideas. It's got Stellan Skarsgård chewing some scenery, and you're like, this is great. But it's what are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing with Andor?
I definitely think it like, I've never seen a Star Wars thing that had less to do with Star Wars than this. People will often hear that as saying like, because it doesn't have lightsabers or because it doesn't have the Force. And they're like, that's good. That's good. It means that like they're branching out, they're expanding. And like, I'm with you, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the DNA of the thing. They're like, no, it's about fighting the evil empire. I'm like, no, this is like a totally different take on fighting like an evil oppressive regime. This is like in-depth Shakespearean character work. This is about like slavery. This is about like imprisonment. It's about like brutal oppression. Star Wars was not about brutal oppression. It was about it was about archetypical characters. These are not archetypical characters. These are in-depth, detailed, well-sketched characters in many of the cases. It's about like the actual finer details of like, how do you fund a rebellion? Like these are things that
it's like, and the rebellion, like causing acts of terror because they want the empire to overreact.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's all really cool and really smart. It just has nothing to do with Star Wars. It's not, that's not really what Star Wars is.
But then you'd probably get pushback. It's like, oh, well, Star Wars can't explore different things. It can only be about Skywalkers. It can only be about this, or it can only be one kind of story.
Don't be so fucking myopic. It's like, no, you can explore other things, but you have to come back to the themes of Star Wars, which are like, a hero fighting the evil within him that he saw his father succumb to, or about a pirate who turns into a hero, or there's or about a wizard who mentors a boy, and I would say even the prequels, which were very, very dissimilar from the original trilogy, they still had the Star Wars thing, the Star Wars je ne sais quoi.
I think Star Wars is a bunch of people whispering to each other and trying to meticulously engineer a prison break.
Yeah, it's just never been that. I mean, I don't think anybody would have an argument here. Like that's not what Star Wars is.
I mean, they did break Princess Leia out of a prison, but it was really quick.
Yeah, because a prison was involved, argument over. I'm talking about the way it makes you feel, not the literal components of the thing. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Like you could argue like Mandalorian's pretty different, from anything we've seen before it. But I feel like it takes Star Wars and then it like travels and it takes Star Wars with it.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't take Star Wars with it. This or Andor rather. The Andor is just like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. How about that?
Yeah.
It's,
Like I
Andor
don't
is
see
much-
people.
Yeah.
I don't see people rushing out to. I know this is supposed to be the Star Wars show for adults, but you do need kids to buy the Lego set, and nobody's gonna buy the Andor Lego
Yeah.
set.
I think maybe they thought like this will be the HBO version of Star Wars where like after the kids are in bed, like mom and dad will watch it and they won't be able to miss an episode. They won't be able to miss a moment of it. And that'll be like a cool new thing for Star Wars. And I'm not telling them they shouldn't or can't do that, especially if they insist on making a Star Wars thing every half day. At some point you're going to have to branch away from the core themes of the thing, but I don't know. It's an interesting philosophical question of like, when does the thing cease to be the thing? And when it completely ceases to be the thing, why are you watching it? Because it's the thing.
Yeah.
Why not just watch a new thing?
Yeah, this could have been any generic sci-fi thing. It
Yeah.
probably would have been better if it was. Wouldn't that be interesting? As they made like on Disney Plus, even you could make a Blade Runner-esque serious sci-fi drama. That'd
Yeah,
be
like
cool.
why doesn't Disney make like a totally original series, like a big budget one that they really commit to?
It's like, can they only buy properties and destroy them?
Yeah, I mean, like they're on a rampage. These fucking crazy people. Well, hey, maybe Illumination and Nintendo will partner and take over the world when it comes to like, because clearly they're going to do Mario Galaxy, the movie. Clearly they're going to do Zelda. I think that's already in the pipeline. Clearly they're going to do, if those are successful, and they will be, Kirby, Donkey Kong. Like we're going to see it all, man.
It's gonna be a Smash Brothers, Smash Brothers Avengers movie.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
And it just
get
might
Sonic in there. Why not?
Yeah, honestly, the Sonic movies are so successful. I think they'd be crazy not to figure out a way to.
And they stylistically, like I saw people putting that together, and they stylistically go together. They're both
Mickey Mouse.
Both Mickey Mouse. They both have their movies have different takes on their designs, but they're still in keeping with it. Luckily, Sonic pulled through.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.